You don't see me saying anything crazy about Abed and Troy's weird little relationship.
They're just jealous.
This weird little relationship was the heart at the center of a show that has carved out its spot in television history and in the hearts of its fans. Community is a sitcom that was created by Dan Harmon in 2009, lasting 6 tumultuous seasons. The show follows a group of misfit students at the fictional Greendale Community College, and each episode is a weirdly unique 22-minute mini-movie that made Community one of the most fun shows to watch. And it's the characters that make the show's insane premises work in such a hilarious and satisfying manner. You have Jeff, Britta, Annie, Shirley, Pierce, Troy, and Abed. Now, there's a lot to talk about with each of these individual characters, but I want to focus on perhaps the most popular duo, Troy and Abed. When I was brainstorming what single character I wanted to focus on for this video, I was immediately drawn to Troy or Abed, but I quickly realized I couldn't talk about one without the other, because these two are inseparable, joined at the hip in what is my personal favorite best friend duo of any television show. A few of my favorite moments of theirs include the Biblioteca rap, crumping, all their episode end tags, the zombie Halloween party, blankets and pillow forts, Christmas rap, paintball, all their handshakes, many more, and a very sad goodbye. What makes these characters work so well is that they each bring out the dormant traits within one another, as opposed to the learned traits. Dormant traits are what I call those traits in a character that are hidden underneath the surface at first, but are brought out over time through interaction with other characters and events. In other words, Troy and Abed bring out the best in one another. When the show begins, Troy and Abed are polar opposites on the surface. Troy is the jock football player who is too cool for school, and Abed is the nerdy kid who is always making pop culture references. But it quickly becomes apparent that there is a lot of chemistry between these two, and that their relationship is destined to grow. Now let's take a look at how these characters affected each other. For Troy, Abed brings out the fun, geeky side of him. Through Abed's openness of his nerdy and geeky personality, Troy begins to open up and show his own nerdy, geeky side that was always there, but that he was repressing, too scared to tarnish his cool guy jock reputation. This is what I mean by dormant traits as opposed to learned traits. Troy always had that nerdy side to him, but he was never surrounded by people that allowed him to feel comfortable bringing it out. Abed acts as that comfort, allowing Troy to let down his guard and just be himself.
It's cool to know other people think about this stuff too.
He brings out the best in him. He teaches Troy to take himself and life a little less seriously, and to just have fun. For Abed, Troy brings out a more confident and socially comfortable side of him. While Abed has always been himself around others, spewing meta references about pop culture and whatnot, no one had ever taken the time to get to know him. He had been written off as an oddball nuisance his whole life. Even his parents thought this way, not taking the time to understand and accept him for who he is. The study group was his first real group of friends and family he ever had, and Troy was his first best friend, a friend he could be comfortable with, and for the first time in his life, someone who didn't roll their eyes and scoff at everything he said. Instead, Troy was a friend that enjoyed Abed's personality, and actually took part in his crazy antics. For the first time, Abed wasn't alone in his ways. He had someone that understood how he thought, someone that enjoyed doing the same things he did. Abed could be happy and comfortable, having someone who took him for how he was, someone that enjoyed his company. But Troy also acted as adult guidance for Abed, grounding him to reality and getting serious when necessary. He taught Abed that not everything could be a fun fantasy world, and that sometimes he had to be present in the real world and take responsibility for himself and others. Once these two became friends, there was no stopping them. Even when doubts of oneself would creep back in, the other would always be there to support and have the other's back. It made for the sweetest and funniest friendship on television, and we got to experience this friendship and see it grow and progress over 4 seasons. Kind of. The love these two had for each other all culminated in the season 5 episode Geothermal Escapism, the episode in which Troy leaves the show. Leading up to this, Troy had made the decision to leave and go sail around the world in order to get the $14.3 million Pierce left him. It was what he was seeking his entire life after all. The episode kicks off with Abed invoking a school-wide game of hot lava, with a rare comic book worth thousands of dollars as the incentive for the winner. Of course, everybody takes this extremely seriously, and the school turns into a post-apocalyptic wasteland. But for Abed, the only thing that matters is that the game is keeping Troy there, and keeping their friendship alive. He is scared of what will happen when Troy is no longer around. At the climax of the episode, Abed confesses these fears to Troy, and realizes that it's not on Troy to stay, but on him to let go.
I don't think the lava's here because you're leaving. I think it's here because I won't let go. Sorry. Bye.
Abed! 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 Abed!
I don't know how a show can be so funny and emotionally impactful at the same time, but this scene nails it. After Troy and Britta bring Abed back to life via cloning him, it's finally time for Troy to leave. With both characters having grown significantly from when they first met, the best friends share their goodbyes, as Abed lets Troy go, knowing it's what's best for him, and as Troy becomes his own person, taking control of his life. Character journeys complete. Watching Troy leave the show was one of the saddest moments I have ever witnessed in TV or movies. And the first time I watched Community, I was in denial until the very last episode, holding out hope that he would return at some point, even if just for a cameo. But as fans know, that never happened. Even though the show continued to be great, it was a gut punch to watch the duo split up. Abed was still charming and funny, but I always knew what was missing in seasons 5 and 6. That hilarious dynamic that gave us classic moment after classic moment, that made me laugh harder than I had laughed at any other show. It was depressing to see Troy be torn away, but at least it was not in vain. The aforementioned effects they had on each other were still felt after Troy's departure. Abed had grown into a more confident and independent person, leaving in the final episode of the show, moving to LA to pursue his dream of becoming a filmmaker. Truly a 180 from the codependent, socially inept outcast we met back in the first season. And Troy is a huge reason for that turnaround. With a show as wonderful as this, and two characters as fun as these, it's hard to complain much. I'm just happy we got the fun interactions and adventures we did, and that they make me laugh and smile to this day. So to Dan Harmon, Dani Pudi, Donald Glover, and everyone who helped create Community, on behalf of myself and all the fans, thank you. I can't wait to see what these two do next.
This time, come sail away.